lights. Okay. On the first day of unleavened bread, when the Passover lamb was sacrificed, his disciples said to him, "Where do you want us to go and make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" So Jesus sent two of his disciples, saying, "Go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him. And wherever he goes, say to the owner of that house, 'The teacher asks, where is my guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large room upstairs, furnished and ready. Make preparations for us to have Passover there." So the disciples set out and went to the city and found everything as he had told them, and they prepared the Passover. When it was evening, he came with the 12. And when they'd taken their places and were eating, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me."
A dispute also arose among them as to which one of them was to be regarded as the greatest. But he said to them, "The kings of the Gentiles lord over them, and those in authority over them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather, the greatest among you must become like the youngest, and the leader like the one who serves. For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one at the table? But I am among you as one who serves."
Knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, Jesus got up from the table, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel around himself. Then he poured water in a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You don't know what I'm doing, but later you will understand." But Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I do, you will have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands then, and my feet, and my head." And Jesus said to him, "One who has bathed does not need to wash except the feet, but is entirely clean, and you are clean, though not all of you." For he knew who was to betray him, and for this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." After he had washed their feet and put on his robe, he returned to the table. And he said to them, "Do you not know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is who I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I've set an example for you, that you also should do as I have done to you. Truly I tell you, servants are not greater than the master, nor messengers greater than the one who sends them. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them."
When it was evening, he took his place with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." And they became greatly distressed and began to say to him, one after the other, "Surely not I, Lord." He answered, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him, but woe to the one by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that one never to have been born." Judas, who betrayed him, said, "Surely not I, Rabbi." He replied, "You have said so."
Then Jesus said to them, "You will all become deserters because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I am raised up, I will go ahead of you to Galilee." Now Peter said to him, "Though all become deserters because of you, I will never desert you." Jesus said to him, "Truly I tell you, this very night, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. Peter said to him, "Even though I must die with you, I will not deny you." And so said all the other disciples.
He came out and went, as it was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he reached the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not come into a time of trial." Then he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, knelt down, and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and gave him strength. In his anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground.
The place where they went was called Gethsemane. And he took Peter, James, and John and said, "Sit here while I pray. Remain and keep awake. I am deeply grieved." And he went and prayed, and then came back and found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, "Simon, are you awake? Could you not keep awake for 1 single hour? Pray that you may not come into the time of trial. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak." And again Jesus went away and prayed, saying the same words. And once more he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were very heavy. And he said to them, "Are you still sleeping? Are you still taking your rest? Enough. The hour has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners."
After Jesus had spoken those words, he looked up to heaven and said, "Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, so that the Son may glorify you. Since you have given him authority over all people, to give eternal life to all whom you have given him. And this is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I glorified you on earth by finishing the work that you gave me to do. So now, Father, glorify me in your own presence, with the glory that I have had in your presence before the world existed. I have made your name known to those whom you gave me from the world. They are yours, and you gave them to me, and they have kept your word."
I'm not asking you to take them out of the world, but I do ask that you protect them from the evil one. They do not belong to the world, just as I do not belong to the world. So sanctify them in the truth. Your word is the truth. As you sent me into the world, so I have sent them. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, so that they may also be sanctified, sanctified in the truth. I ask you not only on behalf of these, but also on behalf of all who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one. As you, Father, are in me, and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one.
After Jesus had spoken those words, he went out with his disciples across the Kidron Valley to a place where there was a garden, which he and his disciple entered. Now Judas, who had betrayed him, also knew the place, because Jesus often met there with his disciples. So Judas brought a detachment of soldiers, together with police from the chief priests and the Pharisees. And they came with lanterns and torches and weapons. Then Jesus, knowing all that was to happen to him, came forward and asked, "Whom are you looking for?" They answered, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus replied, "I am he." Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them. When Jesus said to them, "I am he," they stepped back and fell to the ground.
Then the soldiers led him into the courtyard of the palace, which is the governor's headquarters, and they called together the whole cohort. And they clothed him in a purple cloak and twisted some thorns into a crown and put it on him. And they began to salute him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Then they struck his head with a reed and spit upon him, and knelt down in homage to him after mocking him. Then they stripped him of the purple cloak and put his own clothes back on him and led him out to be crucified.
They compelled a passerby who was coming in from the country to carry his cross. It was Simon of Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus. Then they brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of skulls. They offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. Then they crucified him and divided his clothes among them, casting lots to decide what each should take. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. The inscription of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." And with him they crucified 2 bandits, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, "Ah, you who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross." In the same way, the chief priests, along with the scribes, were also mocking him and saying, "He could not save himself. Let the Messiah, King of Israel, come down from the cross now, so that we may see and believe." Those who were crucified with him also taunted him.
When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. At 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, "Listen, he's calling for Elijah." Someone ran and filled a sponge with sour wine and put it on a stick and raised it up to him to drink, saying, "Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to take him down." Then Jesus gave a loud cry and breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two, top to bottom. Now then the centurion, who stood facing him, saw that in this way he breathed his last, said, "Truly, this man is the Son of God."